I have climbed to the top of a hill in which I am ready for combat to the death, as I declare the Imperium of Man to be the absolute most terrifying faction in 40k. Why, you might ask? Well, you want a faction with low regard to human life? Imperium is for you. Want a faction with low regard to all life? Well, the Imperium has you covered as well. Now, want a religiously fueled, pretentious militant state run on pure hatred for everything that isn't the God Emperor? Then register Republican or join the Imperium. And I know you might be thinking, but the Tyranids and the Orcs. Oh, what about the Night Lords? And to that, I say, no. Imperium is still the most frightening and intense faction in 40k. Everyone talks about how awful the Night Lords are because of all the flaying, but an Inquisitor of the Imperium would do the same exact thing for if you were to just accidentally look at a Chaos Sigil. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this in distaste for the Imperium. In fact, the Imperium is one of my favorite factions. I certainly think they have some of the best stories, but all of these stories have taught me is that I would absolutely never want to be on the receiving end of the Imperium's wrath. You see, the Imperium is probably the most xenophobic and puritanical regiment in 40k. For as much love as we all have for the Imperium, I think it's important to acknowledge fault, as no one in 40k is the good guy. Whether it's the Guard, the Vitrians, Inquisitors, or Astartes, all of them come from a background of belief that humans are the superior species in every way. They are, of course, indoctrinated and taught this from a very young age via a creed of intolerance that all humans are held in a higher regard as Xenos, much like what will happen if in the United States if the Board of Education is dismantled. So it is not uncommon for humans in 40k to practice xenocide. Now, there's exceptions in sanctioned xenos, but those are far and few between, and it's because the Imperium views sanctioned xenos, such as the Eldar recruit, as useful against more substantial enemies, such as Chaos or the Nids. But if sanctioned xenos ever became a threat or stopped being useful, the Imperium would exterminatus them without even blinking an eye. See, the Imperium of Man has so many factions, all of which are real good at killing. From the Guardsmen, which are basically the standard American military fuck yeah Green Army people, to the Inquisition, which are some of the highest trained killers that will track Xenos, Daemons, and Heretics to the far reaches of the galaxy, just to see that they are exterminated by any means necessary, and I really mean any means necessary. Then there's the poster child of Warhammer, the Space Marines, everybody's favorite, fuck yeah! They're the coolest guys around, but, pause. I realize there are a lot of newcomers to 40k, especially with Space Marine 2, and I think one of the biggest pieces that's getting missed in just 40k lore is how fucking terrifying Space Marines are. I sort of forgot this fact until reading Gazgul recently, in which there's a scene where an Inquisitor is interrogating a grot, and alongside her is a space wolf. Now, this Inquisitor is part of the Ordo Xenos. Her whole job is based on the hatred of Xenos, and she realizes that the Astartes are one of the most alien things she's ever seen. They are grotesquely large men, the size of Mack trucks, in which they need additional organs just to support their frame. Their skin is stretched to absurd degrees and must be held together with sutures and grafts just to contain the amount of augmented inhuman muscle that lies underneath. For an Inquisitor to think anything is more frightening than themselves also just speaks volumes. Not to mention the Astartes can move at insane rates of speed. The Night Lord Omnibus had a Night Lord hurtling off a barricade at like 85 kilometers an hour in the span of a few seconds. Now, if you're in the US like myself, that translates to about 50 to 55 miles an hour. So let's paint a picture. You're an orc. You are on the front lines of some battle somewhere, having the time of your life as orcs do in battle, facing against the Imperium, and it just ceases to end. In a second, you cease to exist as a 500-pound, 10-foot man just vaporize you simply by breaking into a light jog and ran through you. You can literally get A-trained by a Space Marine. Not to mention he carries a chainsword double the length of your entire body. And oh my god, we have not even gotten into the Sisters of Battle yet. They are essentially those middle-aged white mom Christian missionaries that try to convert underprivileged youth in third world countries to Christianity, but now with guns. And their belief is shoot first and ask questions later. If you don't believe in the God Emperor hard enough, the Sisters will literally call in an orbital strike of churches on your house. Now, even the Augment Enhanced Imperium out of the way, even the Standard Guard are a force to be reckoned with. Cadians are on a whole nother level, and the Tanith first, you'd be dead before you even knew they were there. There are so many specialized groups of guards that are so good at killing, it's not even funny. The Khazarkin are normal humans that can give a Space Marine a run for their money at times, and I don't know which is scarier. The Krieg will kill a Xeno even if it means unaliving themselves in the process too. Like, the Krieg will make sure you're dead, and even if it means they die in the process. And then we have Titans, which are just giant towering machines that could rival Kaiju, and even absurd Titans that have cities built on top of them. Also, just the sheer act of existing as a human in 40k is typically a life of hell for folks in the Imperium. Living in a hive city doesn't exactly seem like a great time unless you are a 1%er, literally in an ivory tower. There's an excerpt in the Night Lord's Omnibus about a human with the Imperium who lives a small life in a cramped space, working minimum 16 hours a day, and that once he was a slave to Chaos Space Marines, the Night Lords, he actually felt freedom for once. I could go on for a while, but I want to know what you think. What is, in your opinion, the scariest faction in 40k? Or if it's the Imperium, which faction within the Imperium, because there's so goddamn many. Anyway, I just want to go on a little ramble, a little tangent before the holidays and I go away for a bit and get a video out there. Don't forget to interact with the video in some way, or don't. I can't tell you what to do. And I love you. Bye.